All right, so this is our tracker. And on this tracker, we are now in success criteria 4, explain the influence of other countries on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So how did other countries outside of Israel, Palestine is not really a country, it's just a group of people living in Israel, how do they influence this conflict? What's their role to play? So you should take a couple notes here, maybe 3 or 4 things that other countries are doing. So let's look at, real quick, a map of this conflict. So, well, we'll go right here. So you're going to record on the way it says SC4, and here's the influence of other countries. So the USA gives money and weapons to Israel. Remember, USA is an ally of Israel because they help us, we help them. They kind of, sort of have a similar background. A lot of Jewish people have a European background, which a lot of Americans do too. And so they give money and weapons to Israel. And we have every presidential candidate has to declare support for Israel. It's just part of something you have to do, partially because Israel supports U.S. candidates. So we have there, or at least U.S. Lobbyists. So U.S. gives money and weapons to Israel, $10 million every day on average. Huge amounts of money. And then here's the confusing part. Europe and USA also actually give money to Palestinian side, but it's not really just straight up money. It's going to be like humanitarian aid so the Palestinians don't starve. Remember, they're almost like on a reservation. They're kind of pushed over in that area in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and they don't necessarily have access to resources. So they are given money and supplies just by like in the form of charity, like from Europe and USA. And then the neighboring countries, and this should be where you really should remember, is they are Arab. They're much more like the Palestinians. They speak a similar language, have similar religion to Palestinians. Palestinians are just like the neighboring countries. And so the neighboring countries around Israel support Palestine, and they sneak in weapons. They give money. They give refuge when Palestinians sneak across the borders. So neighboring countries, remember this whole issue is partially because there's an Israel, which is kind of like a um, a Western country, very much more like the United States or European countries, that was forced into the middle of an Arab neighborhood, like an Arab area of the world where people speak Arabic, where they practice Islam or Muslim. They're Muslim. So this is part of why we have this conflict. It's a conflict over these different influences and culture. So there are some ways that these different sides are influenced. There's some Western aid. There's been peace meetings, so that's one way that these sides are influenced. Is the U.S. has tried to hold peace meetings. Other countries for like 50 years have been trying to get these two sides to work together, which may be difficult because we're pretty one-sided. The United States is very much on the side of Israel. So you should be able to record a few things from that on your tracker about Israel.